Were you always super cool, or did you sometimes get nervous, or did, doubt creep in when you were playing games?
I don't think doubt creeped in, but I think nerves are part of the game, a part of anything, but because of how well I thought I was prepared, those nerves were a lot smaller than most. I mean, I always explain to like kids when I'm talking to kids, I think one of the best examples is, okay, you go in to take a test, whether it's high school, college, whatever it might be. How nervous are you when you're not prepared? You know you're not prepared compared to you've done all the work, you're ready to go. You walk in there with confidence.
I'm Prerna Gupta, a tech founder, and in this series, I'll explore how exceptional people succeed by following their hero's journey.
The defining moment in every hero's journey is the point where the hero feels that all is lost. That's when he has to dig deep and muster the strength and courage to push forward and get the win. You're known as the comeback king. Take us through one of your greatest comebacks of all time. Can you set up a pivotal play for us and help us understand, what was going through your mind in that moment?
I don't know if there's pivotal plays, but there were two probably of the comebacks that stick out in my mind. My last game at Notre Dame, we played in the Cotton Bowl in one of the coldest games ever. We played Houston, and the wind was blowing so hard in one direction. There was actually 69 points scored in the game, and only 14 points were scored against the wind. And one of them was a punt got blocked and was returned for a touchdown. Otherwise, you couldn't do anything. And it was just that when we came out, I came out at the end of the third. I was sick. I got sick. I had to stay in the locker room at halftime. Came out late third quarter. We were down 35-3 or 13. I can't remember the exact score. But all of a sudden it changed the wind. But in the meantime, I had fumbled, and I mean, it was so cold. More people were watching the game in their car than in the stadium or in their vehicle outside. And because it was also got out of hand, since the score was so well lopsided, no one kind of everybody was leaving. But we ended up getting the wind, and no matter whether, I fumbled right at the end of the game when we were driving, and I thought, oh, this is it. And I sit on the ground, I put my hands on my head and going, I may have just lost this. And then they go for it on fourth down, and they don't win inches, and they don't make it. We get the ball back with like 26 seconds, and we go down and score and ended up winning that game. And then obviously the catch sticks out in my mind. It was the similar type game. I really didn't play very well. Fumbled, interceptions, just wasn't a great game for me. But we still came down to the last few plays, and right before I threw the touchdown to Dwight Clark, I missed Freddie Solomon, who was one of our other wide receivers, wide open in the end zone, and I overthrew him by like 3 feet.
Oh my God!
And I'm sitting there going, oh God, I might have just lost this game too. And next thing you know, we get a little play, and Dwight makes a big play, and those are probably two of the biggest.
Why are comebacks so hard, and why do you think most people can't manage to do it? And how were you able to do it so often?
I think if you find a lot of the successful guys, no matter what sport it is, they kind of relish being in the extra pressure. I don't know whether it makes you focus more, but like if you look at those games that you come back from, most of the time you're the reason that they were behind. So you got to find a way to get down in there. And I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it was the most fun because as a quarterback, you're going to throw the ball every down. We went against the Cowboys. We actually ran the ball a lot of that last drive, but for the most parts, that's the fun part of the game for a quarterback. They want to throw it. The game today, you see everybody's throwing it a lot more times than normal, and a lot more yards, a lot more touchdowns, but natural progression of the game as it moves forward. But yeah, I think you hate to lose more than you like to win. When you win, it's okay. that's what's expected of me. That's what
Yeah.
that's why I thought we were going to win anyway. So, but that loss kind of gets down deep inside, I think, more than anything.
Yeah. Well, your other nickname is Joe Cool. And, sitting here talking to you, it's clear why. You're super chill. You have this calmness about you that I think is very unique. But, I wonder, did you really never get nervous? Like, were you always super cool, or did you sometimes get nervous, or did, doubt creep in when you were playing games?
I don't think doubt creeped in, but I think nerves are part of the game, a part of anything, but because of how well I thought I was prepared, those nerves were a lot smaller than most. I mean, I always explain to like kids when I'm talking to kids, I think one of the best examples is, okay, you go in to take a test, whether it's high school, college, whatever it might be. How nervous are you when you're not prepared? You're not prepared compared to you've done all the work, you're ready to go. You walk in there with confidence. Yeah, there's a little bit of butterflies. But for the most part, nowhere near what the other thing does. And people think about that a lot more when you're not prepared. And you get back in the 2-minute drills and 2-minute offense. Every week we practiced against our own defense, which was usually, if it wasn't the top defense in the league, it was one of the top 3 all the time. So, we're going again. They know all our audibles, they know everything, so they make it extra hard on you. And when you get in the game, it's just second nature. And we had a lot of great players around.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice to your kids, and I think to anyone in any industry. And yeah, makes a lot of sense. So I read somewhere that before games, you didn't eat anything. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what happens when you read too much, right? I read somewhere that you perform better on a semi-empty stomach. So what I would do is I'd go to the pregame meal, and even if it was in the morning, and like one of the Super Bowls at night, and I almost passed out on the field right in the last drive when we went down to win the Super Bowl against Cincinnati. Everything got fuzzy.
Oh my gosh.
I know it had to be because of that, because I would go in and I eat like a little piece. You had just about everything you wanted. There was pastas, there was steaks, there was normal breakfast things for pregame, and I just would grab a little piece of like a fillet, and just to keep my stomach working but not completely full, because I read that you perform better on a semi-empty stomach, and then I would take a Snicker bar into for halftime.
Wow. That's awesome.
Crazy.
Do you think that's changed? I mean, one of the things it seems like, over the past 20 to 30 years in many sports, when you look back, I feel like athletes were in charge of their own diets a lot more. And has that changed? Like, is it much more regimented now, with your counterparts, your modern counterparts, where someone's kind of a nutritionist is telling them, you have to eat this and you have to eat that?
Well, you don't have to eat it, but it's readily available. When we were playing, we didn't. I mean, all these places now, they all have full-blown kitchens and cooks and menus that go from the worst stuff you can imagine probably to eat, a lot of good stuff. And we had to order out and try to get them to bring the sandwiches or whatever we decided we're going to have. First, you had to find someone that would deliver it, because you never had time to run out and get it, or you had to bring it yourself. So I think they're doing a better job with nutrition, but still, I don't think it's always about what you eat. It's a lot of times, I think people talk about the pastas and the carb loading before you go out, because it helps you burn gives you something to burn. And there's all kind of studies, but you can go either way on the studies. They go both ways. So I just say, the thing that you should do the most is just, if you're eating a great diet, stay on it. If you're eating whatever, as soon as you start changing it, things change inside of you too. So why would I change my diet? Day, game, or throughout the week, when that's not how I would normally eat. But it's always great to eat better. And my wife keeps me on track as much as I with that green stuff.
So I recently watched a documentary about the Rams head coach, Sean McVay, who's the youngest coach in NFL history. And he reportedly has a photographic memory where he can remember every play he's ever seen. And this kind of blew my mind. And I was wondering, as a quarterback, is that also true for you? And do you still remember old plays? And can you kind of like run through, if you do remember, is there one you can kind of take us through?
And you remember certain plays. Like there are guys on. I think Randy Cross was one of those guys that could run through a whole game almost.
Wow.
As a quarterback, I was always like, "That's over with, gone, done. Forget it. Move on. I'm going forward, good or bad. Learn from what happened and go." And we had so much memorization, for studying for the game for my playbook that it was hard to even fathom. Like I'm sitting there going, okay, I can remember 4 or 5 plays in the game. Usually they were bad, but there were times where, obviously the big ones stick out, but the game that sticks out the most is we played Philly in Philly, and Buddy Ryan was there with it, and they had a huge defensive line. They just said we couldn't keep up with them because we weren't physical enough. And the first series, I throw like a 70-yard touchdown to Jerry Rice, and I'm sitting there going, wow, it's going to be easier than I thought. And then from that point on, I picked myself up off the ground more times than ever. And came down to the fourth quarter. We scored, I think, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And the last touchdown, we just needed a first down and we could run the clock out. And we ran a little route with the halfback. He got to go out and look around, and wherever he found a hole, sit down. And he was wide open. And I threw a long pass to Jerry Rice. And you see the head coach go like that, like, what the hell are you doing? And Jerry catches it for a touchdown. And then when I walked over there, he said, "You're lucky." That was complete. There's no luck there, coach.
All right. So for many, many years, throughout my entire childhood, as long as I can remember, you were universally considered the greatest quarterback of all time, football's GOAT. And then came Tom Brady. You have, said publicly that you agree that Tom is the new GOAT. When did you admit that to yourself, and was it hard?
No, I never thought. You don't think of yourself in that kind of light. You don't put yourself there. You just. I had a great career. Could I have played longer? Probably. I had so many more injuries. The game's so different than where he is now. They don't get hit, and they get close to him, they get a flag, and it's different for a quarterback. So can he keep playing? As long as he stays healthy, his arm and his brain won't go away for a while. But the difference is, I've had 27 surgeries now. I have a new shoulder, new knee, a 5-level neck fusion, another single-level neck, 4 backs. That the things they were able to do to you back then weren't as bad as the things they were able to do to the guys about the same distance before I played. They used to just be, I don't know how these guys made it to 5 or 6 years, but I think it wasn't easy. It wasn't hard to say yes, because obviously he's throwing up numbers. All those guys are throwing up numbers. The thing is, like, the guys I would like to see play today are Dan Marino, playing in today's world where he knew he wasn't going to get smacked. And that was the difference. Is like, there's a guy 3 feet from me, and I know I have to throw the ball and I have to throw it accurately. And I know he's going to plant me in the ground. That was a differentiator between quarterbacks. Now that guy can't even touch you.
Yeah.
And it's a big difference in your mindset that, I can just stand in here if I want. I'm safe in the pocket.
Do you think, touching on that topic a little bit, do you think that shift in the, what's considered okay in football is a good shift in general? And do you feel like it's going to continue? I know that there has been some controversy of late around just concussions and what it does to players. Like, what's your opinion about that?
Well, I think the shift there is for the quarterback was good, because when you look at it, we're the only player who's standing still, getting hit by someone who outweighs you by 150 pounds. And it's not the hit. You can hit the quarterback. I think you should hit the quarterback all you want. Just don't compress them in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, they should be able to play the game exactly like the rest of everyone. But where players get hurt, where quarterbacks get hurt, and those are guys, you know, they're making probably the biggest salary, and the team owners say, no, we got to fix this. That's why you see that. But if you just hit me, yeah, I'll get back up. I may have to go to the sideline for a play, but I'll come back. But I'm not going to get hurt. We played the Giants in the Super Bowl, in the championship game, going to win our third Super Bowl in a row, and I get hit, and he compresses me in the ground, and he has a hold of my hand, and as we hit and he compresses, he pulls back on my hand. My chest hurt so bad, I didn't even know my hand was broken.
Wow.
And so those are the things, you know, that they're cutting out of the game. And, you know, you take all those out, and I don't get concussions because I don't take the hits that got me those concussions. And I could have played longer at 38, but I started looking at all my injuries. I had 4 kids, you know, and I want to be able to, I still can't, even though that I thought I could. I should have played another year or 2 since the surgeries came anyway. But, you know, that you take a lot of that away, and a lot of guys can play longer. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can do the same thing unless he just decides I've had enough. But those guys are going to play for a long time.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of retirement, kind of switching to another sport for a minute, we're at this very interesting point in tennis history where 3 of the sport's GOATs, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams, are all nearing retirement at the same time. Putting yourself back in their shoes, you know, you were 38 when you retired, so young, you have the rest of your life ahead of you. You've lived your entire life doing this thing that you love. You're world famous for it. You're literally the best ever at this thing that you do, and you suddenly have to stop.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that transition emotionally and psychologically, and find a way to go live a life that's full of joy and meaning when you can no longer play football?
Well, I think a couple of things are different from tennis to the NFL. Most of the guys who retire from the NFL, you know, struggle to walk or do anything. There's no pickup game of football you can go play. All right. First of all, you struggle physically. Tennis, yeah, you can go away, and then you can go do exhibitions. You can do all these things that give you. You can't do that in the NFL. Look at what's a lineman going to do? Where is he going to go? You know, or a linebacker. They go into coaching, and coaching was never one of those things I set high in my life. I'm a doer. Most of those guys are doers. A lot of them aren't, but most of them are doers. They want to do. And so the first few years for me, it was hard to watch. And then, you know, for tennis, I'm not sure how those guys feel, but they play a lot more matches than we did. You know, they play year round all over the world, and they travel a lot different. So it gets kind of exhausting, but when they want to jump back in and do some things that have some fun with it, they can do it. Like the guy calls me the other day and says, "Can you throw 100 passes?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Can you throw 100 passes for charity?" I'm like, I haven't picked up a football and since I got a new shoulder and 3 or 4 years ago. And I go, I don't know. Let me see what I can do. So it's a little bit different, I think. You know, there's not a lot of injury. Yeah, they get a pulled hamstring or a sprained ankle or hurt a shoulder or something or an elbow here and there. But for the most part, they don't have the same physical part of the game, and they're able to go back and do things. So it may be a little bit easier. It'll be hard getting away from the competition part of it, because I mean, that's what we all do it. You know, it's the competition, it's competing and having that joy of victory and, you know, that terrible feeling of defeat.
Yeah. Well, how have you filled that gap? How do you spend your time today, and what brings you joy?
I have 2 granddaughters. So, and my kids are all close around. I work with our older son that works in the fund. I started a venture fund. Actually, I started in a fund of funds right after I first retired. I really wasn't ready for a job. And Ronnie Lott and Harris Barton, obviously 2 guys I played with, we leveraged ourselves and our friendships to get into top tier venture funds as a fund of funds. Sequoia, Kleiner, Excel, Greylock, all these and eventually grew it into leverage buyout, hedge, and real estate. Someone made a crazy offer during the bubble on my house, sold it, moved to the wine country, was driving back and forth from Calistoga, which is 2 hours, to Woodside Road without traffic. Some days it was 4. And I just said, my kids are playing sports. I want to be there. And I stepped away and connected with Ron Conway, one of the top angel investors here in the Valley. And he started taking myself and my older son, Nathaniel, to Y Combinator. And so we started doing little investments here and there. And then he talked me into starting a fund. So that's what's keeping me going.
Awesome.
And most of my day, spend time with portfolio companies and doing things from this end. And we have 3 partners, my son and 2 other young guys who went through Y Combinator. Both, one sold his company to Google, the other sold his company to IBM, and his company actually started IBM's cloud service. He's got too many of those letters after his name. He's got a PhD in applied particle physics. But he did go to Michigan State, so I give him a hard time. But yeah, that keeps me going. We're always looking at companies and always dealing with our portfolio companies, and probably a lot more work than I was ready. I keep telling my wife I need to retire from retirement, because retirement.
Awesome. Very cool. So what are some of your favorite companies in your portfolio?
Oh, I can't pick any favorites. We have some fun things. We do everything from marketplaces, simple marketplaces, to satellites in the sky, defense companies.
Wow.
We have GitLabs just announced that they're going to go public, and that'll be our first fund is doing pretty well. We have 13 or 14 unicorns in a little $28 million fund, and now GitLab's going to go public. And we already had one company get bought by John Deere, and so it's fun watching. I mean, we have robotics. We have, we have companies landing drones from battleship to battleship, and it's pretty interesting.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Great. All right. So we're at our final questions. It's our rapid fire hero's journey questions. We have 4 questions.
Okay.
All right. Question 1. What's your favorite book about a hero? It can be fiction or nonfiction.
I keep wanting to start reading about other people, but other people remind me of real life. So I try to, and everybody tells me about, well, you should read so-and-so's book, and so-and-so. My kids and my son-in-law, they're reading books about, the guy I coached with Michael Jordan in Chicago, his book, and then they're just all over the map on these people. But I read for enjoyment, just like I watch movies. I don't want to watch somebody's story not about their life, because that part's fun, but about a movie that is sort of about watching people go through everyday life and the trials and tribulations. I go, well, I don't want to watch that. I see that every day. I want to be entertained. And so I need to start getting more into books about people, individuals. That was a short. I guess that's not rapid fire, but
that's all right. I love that. I agree, actually. All right. Well, what's your favorite, movie or book that's entertaining about anything?
Right now, I'm reading something I would never read. It's called The Tales of the Alhambra. It's just about a guy's journey across Spain in the 1800s. The people he comes across, the bandits, the good people, up and down. So that's kind of what I'm reading right now.
That sounds awesome.
I don't want to read, though. It's pretty much what I just said. I don't read, but my wife talked me into it. But it's been pretty good. The letters are big enough so I can read without glasses.
Awesome. All right. Question 2. What's your kryptonite?
Pizza.
Okay, well, that's a good segue into question 3. What's your superfood?
I would say my kryptonite really is whoopie pies. So that's the bad part. I can't let them go. There's a place in New York, my buddy keeps sending them to me. Don't send me anymore. Then this little deli makes, superfood is probably, I'll put pizza on that level. I love pizza.
I love that. Me too. Awesome. All right. And last question is, what's your secret weapon?
My secret weapon is somebody named Jennifer, who sleeps next to me, my wife. She is the best, has been the best for me, and just has a, a great demeanor and a great outlook on life, and tries. I sometimes try to hide, from being in public, and she's going, just, you just got to quit worrying about it, and don't worry about other people. And it's hard to, you want to be with her, and I want to be with my group friends or family, whoever we're out with, but she has the best outlook on life. And the kids, they'll tell you when they have an issue, they don't call me, they call Jennifer.
That's the best answer we've gotten. Awesome. Joe Montana, thank you so much for your time. It's such an honor and pleasure to speak with you, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.